You are listening to the Interview Podcast,
where we interview the real you.
We discover our guests' passions, skills, dreams, and wisdom they've learned along the way.
Get ready for some friendly banter,
Controversial hot takes.
Christian pickup lines, and riveting conversations.
Let's dive in.
So a question that I have, Kara's getting giggly now, I'm like gonna laugh.
Well, this ought to be fun.
There is a question that I have been thinking about recently, and it is related to friendships and expectations. And so I would just love to hear you guys' thoughts on what are realistic expectations to have for your friends, mostly same gender friends, like that you're really close to. When are you expecting too much? When are you asking too much of them? Like when you expect them to come through for you or be there for you or whatever. Is there no cap on that? Is it all the time? And when, is it important to have conversations with your friends about like, hey, what are your expectations in this friendship? Like, what are you looking for? What makes you feel safe and heard and seen and all of that? Or how important is that? And then also the Bible verse that talks about like bearing one another's burdens and so fulfill the law of Christ. Like, where does that play into friendships? Because I think that I maybe have, I would expect a lot from my close friends because I'm willing to give a lot. Like if someone calls me at 2 a.m. and says, I need you over here now, I would be like, I'm coming. Mm-hmm. Like no questions asked. If someone's in a pinch and they need me to fill in for something or help them work on something, I would just do it. I wouldn't I wouldn't think twice about it. And I wouldn't even really care about why they were in the situation they were in the first place. I would just want to help because that's how I view friendship. But I've learned that in certain friendships that I've had, like that may be a little bit unrealistic to expect that from them. And so then how to not be hurt by that, how to have good expectations, be honest with each other. But yet also we are called to bear one another's burden. So how does that look? And when is it too much? So any thoughts?
Good question.
Because especially for being single and not like, I feel like when you're married, your husband, your wife, those expectations are like, you can put a lot on each other. Like you're each other's person for life. And so it feels more reasonable. Like you have those conversations. Okay, what are your expectations? Or what makes you feel this way? What makes you feel safe? What makes you feel loved? All these things. But when you have just platonic friendships with, even, girls to guys too, but mostly same gender friendships and you're really close, what does that look like? And how do you create those deep friendships that you really feel connected to that person? You can rely on them without it becoming you expecting too much from them and them being overwhelmed. And like, okay, I feel taken advantage of now. Mm. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. For myself, I think I build my expectations around my friends rather than building my friends around my expectations. And what I mean by that is like I develop expectations based on each friendship. So like even like coming here tonight and looking at the topics that we were going to talk about, I had expectations of what different people were going to say about different things because I know each of you and we're each different. So I have different expectations for each one.
We would like to hear all of those later.
Yeah, we would. Yeah.
But that's not really, that'd be more of like assumptions. You're assuming this person will probably say this and do that. That's different than like, I'm talking like you and Dakota, you have a friendship. Mm-hmm. So what do you want from a friendship with someone that you would consider close?
Okay. Well,
yeah,
so I guess
like be specific, not just like, I kind of know what people would do. No, what like is appropriate to ask of a friend? And do you have conversations? Is it good to have conversations with those people of like, hey, when this happened and you didn't show up, like that was like, that hurt me. That was hard for me not to have you there. Or, when I needed something, whatever, you weren't there. Or when I had an event and you didn't support it, like that actually hurt. And when is that saying like too much expectations on them? And they're like, well, I don't have to be like, I can be your friend and not do this for you and be there for you and all of that. Because I can tend to very much be afraid of being a burden or a bother and asking too much. And so I will pull back a lot of times and kind of have a little bit, I can create a little bit of a wall of protection for myself because if I ask something or I need something from someone and they can't do it for me, and I really care, like I feel like we're very close and they let me down, then it hurts. I feel disappointed. And then I'm like, well, I can't expect that from them. But then I feel like sometimes it impedes the closeness then because I have to have a little bit of a wall up. And I'm like, I think I overthink it way too much.
Well, maybe this has to do.
And it might be more girls too.
I was going to say,
So-
that's exactly what I was going to say.
So
Maybe
maybe
that
the
has
girls-
to do
He's like,
with.
I don't relate.
Tony's like, no idea what
'Cause
you're talking about.
I feel like I look at my friendships more as like and this is going to sound terrible, but like a tool bag. Like I have different friends for different things. So
I
like,
like
your friends are
I actually completely relate with that.
I think boys are
here's
Okay.
here's my
all the guys
cool
are
bags.
nodding, and
All
all the
the
girls
guys
are
are like, yep,
disgusted looks on their
100%,
faces.
brother.
See, I actually kind of agree with that too because I have
Oh.
some friends in my life where I'm like, okay,
Lisa.
I know that she's.
Keep it close.
Keep it-
Or
okay.
keep it consistent.
I know
There you
that
go.
she is like I can go to her and we're gonna laugh and she's gonna be that day brightener when I'm just like when I need to get out of my head, she's gonna give me that day brightener. But she's not gonna be there to when I'm crying.
Yeah.
I can just go to her and she'll make me laugh. And then I kind of like almost see that too where I'm like, okay, I see their strong suits or not their strong suits and I kind of look at that and maybe it is a self-protection of like, hey, I don't want them to let me down, so I'll figure out who's best at what. I don't know. But like it kind of works
You're my crying
sometimes.
friend. You're my
where-
laughing friend. You're my help me in the middle of the night work friend.
Friendships
Yeah.
are like a tool
and you're
bag.
like, this friend
so
loves to
funny.
go on adventures. So if I need to
That
go
on
have a good
Yes.
day, we'll do that.
Yes.
This friend,
Yep.
you know, you just kind of, I don't know. I guess I read people in that aspect. And maybe it is a self-protection of like, okay, I'll read you to figure out what I can get out of you. And then I'll just like, maybe that's not a good thing. Maybe I didn't check that out. But I kind of agree with this
Maybe I
whole
should check that
concept
out.
of like different personalities give different things. And that's almost, I think, okay. I think that's actually okay to expect different things out of all your friends because everyone is different. And I don't want to expect the same thing out of Cassandra that I would out of Karen, Heather, and Jen. Like, I'd want to expect different things because everyone is so different. So I just kind of look at, okay, so where do we connect?
Right.
I don't know.
I took that way literally. Like, this is my friend who does tile work. So that's handy in
This
this
is my
time.
friend who's a gardener.
And Heather would have some of
This
those.
is my farmer friend.
I was like, oh, that
This
makes
is a
sense.
friend I go bowling with.
For Dakota, this is the friend that fixes toilet handles
yeah, I was going to say that like,
and helps
Like-
me move.
Yeah.
And
well, see, and that's an expectation you
do?
have because
I'm kidding.
but like,
Emotional
with
support.
Dakota, I can expect that if I want to talk to somebody about Einstein's theory of relativity, he's going to be the guy.
Right.
I know
It's
what
not
those
Derek.
words mean.
No.
But like if I want to go camping or something, I don't expect Jen to go because that's not what she wants.
Facts.
Yeah.
So
Take me
that's
camping
why
to
She
Hotel.
has gone camping
Yeah.
before, but
yeah,
I think I
yeah,
went
but
one
that's
time.
Right.
that's not her. That's not who she is. Like that's not what she's about. So like that's why I say I build my expectations around my friends. But now I think there are some generalizations that I expect out of friendship, or I think a friend should uphold, like honesty. I would.
that's just a people expectation.
Yeah.
It
That's
is.
humanity.
It is.
Yeah.
But at the same time, once you get to know somebody, you develop an expectation from them specifically based on your experience with them. So like that's what everybody should be expected is to be honest in friendships. But then once you build friendships, like you'll be let down or something, and so your level expectation will rise and fall based on that individual. That's what I would think.
Jen, kind of to your question, are you talking about should we have those conversations? Like if you were let down or you felt like you showed up for someone and then they didn't show up for you. Are you asking even
Yeah.
specifically like in those scenarios, do I bring that up?
Yeah. Let's say when expectations are not met
Yes.
and you feel let down and they maybe don't know it.
Right. Should you bring it up?
Yeah, is that where? Because I've had like there's some friends where I've said, hey, this was like for us to go deeper. I feel like this has to be talked about so that I'm not holding it against you and feeling it. But sometimes I think that I don't know when and like when is it appropriate to like talk to them and say, man, like this was a letdown, this was an unmet expectation, and when is it like, wow, I'm expecting too much. Like that's not realistic expectation to have. So I should not go to them with it. I need to deal with it on my own and move on and not expect that from people. But then it feels like I become a little more cynical of like, well, I just can't need people. Because if you need people and then they let you down and
Right.
you have and it's not their fault and it's not their job, obviously, to be everything for you. But then you're just like, well, let's just not be too close to people.
Jennifer, we need to break down some walls.
No, this is not an intervention for me.
Those are
Okay.
good questions, Jen. Those are
But
good
it's just things, and somebody I don't not want to hear from you guys, but I would want to hear from you girls a little bit that are more in the emotional side of things.
We'll take our tool bags and just
That
head outside.
that like of what
We'll
do
be
you
out there
guys what do you
building
guys
the
do?
sheds.
Like, am I crazy? Like, do you guys have like am I way over complicating it and over feeling things? And I mean, maybe you can already tell like I'm putting too much on people if I'm like, oh, I need, I was let down here, let down here. Do you guys get let down by friends?
Never. What is that?
Like, you know what I mean? And I'm not talking like they stabbed you in the back and were disloyal and that kind of thing. I'm just talking like you needed help. Like, very little example, and I won't say any specifics, but like I needed something the other day, and I asked a friend of like if they could just do something for me and bring me something, whatever. And it didn't work for them because of a reason that I was like, I feel like you could have made that work. And I like, if it was me on her end, I would have been like, absolutely, it's gonna take me 10 minutes. I got you. And I was like, man, why would you like that? I felt it was a very minor thing. I felt a little bit let down. And that's something like, I'm not gonna go talk to the person because it was totally fine in the end. But I was just like, man, I had an expectation that I would call you and you'd be there and you weren't. And so am I overthinking it? Am I over complicating it?
I think that's very real. I actually think this is going to be a very relatable conversation for a lot of people because in every relationship oh boy, in every relationship you create, I feel like even if you're not trying to, you do go in with some kind of expectation. I feel like, again, kind of what Tony said, it takes time to get to know somebody, and you might figure out, like Lisa was saying, this person, they're going to be a good time, but they're not the person I'm going to go to when I'm going through something. And I think as far as having hard conversations, I have different levels of friendship. Like I have a close inner circle that knows everything, right? And just very real. I think
Is that us?
You're one of them.
We in the inner circle. We're on the podcast.
I actually am pretty open.
Yeah.
Interview.
But dadgummit, Tony.
So you're saying you have different levels of levels of friendships. You have inner circle.
And I think being real is very important.
Yeah.
Like, I want to be hopefully the same person with you as I am with all of you, right? And so when you see different sides of people, that can be a little scary sometimes. But if there's a relationship that I know that we've both put time into making this a successful friendship, and there's something that comes up that hurts, or I think 100% like, let's sit down and have a conversation. But if I know it's a friendship where we're not changing each other's lives, like we're here for each other, but it's not something it's not necessary for me to put us through that, and I can just hurt, but I'll be okay. Like that's not going to ruin me. I think sometimes you can let's just let this one go. So kind of pick your battles and pick like, hey, this is a relationship that means a lot.
Yeah.
We both want this. We're both this friendship.
Maybe the ride or dies. You're like, you got to put in the effort for those. That
they're going to be with me the rest of my life.
Yeah.
Or if it's just someone who's like, hey, we hang out sometimes, but that kind of hurt, but it'll be okay. I'll just get over this one. Is that fair to say?
Absolutely.
Well, and I feel like, the more you care about someone, the more it is going to hurt. And so
well, it's always
like,
the close friends that
True.
it
And
hurts
so, yeah.
because you care about what they think. You care about if they're there for you or not. They can disappoint you. Because they also bring you the most joy. It's like all one and the same. What am I saying? Anyway.
Ladies, or Dakota, you were going to say something too, but...
Can I talk to
Yeah.
you?
And this is why I don't have a man.
Do I have a voice up in here?
I picked up my mic earlier, and that's right when she said that. Men are
Sorry, when
done.
she chastised
Sorry,
you.
I definitely did
Yeah.
not mean you boys don't have things to say. I just obviously
No.
know women are wired very differently,
Yes,
and I don't see guys as much getting offended and then being like, "Okay, we need to sit down and talk
Tony
about
said
our friendship."
Tony said friendships are like a tool
Yeah.
belt. At
She-
that
she was
point,
done,
it was
she was
kinda
done.
like,
She was done manifesting. So
Yeah.
no more men talking. But no, I think it's definitely very different for the masculine platonic relationships versus the feminine ones. And like, I'll give the example of a like work trips and stuff. So like the guys at church, they go out do building projects and whatnot, right? And it's 8-hour days of like grueling labor, right? And one of the ways that you
Decompress.
are able to handle that is by
That was really awesome.
yeah, decompress is a good word. Yeah, one of the ways you cope with that, a lot of stress is a lot of mental stress. Like the way you get your mind off that is you make fun of each other, right? But it's like there's fewer places with more verbal abuse than a job site with a bunch of guys who love and respect and know each other very well, and it's one of the greatest things too. Like, but it's with a camping trip, any of that stuff with it when it's all guys. They're making fun of each other. It's a roast fest.
Yeah, it's a roast fest.
But
I'd probably cry immediately.
it's like a great thing because the only expectations that I have for friendship with a group of guys is, hey, don't basically don't have any expectations. Like my only expectations our only expectations for each other is like, hey, don't drag me down. We're here to work, and like if you're making this go any harder than it needs to be, you're out of here, man.
Yeah.
And those guys start getting hammers thrown at them at the end of the day, like,
We're not violent. Just kidding.
That's an exaggeration, but basically those guys start getting picked on a lot more. The guys who can, it's like a test of like who can handle what, right? And so
They're the least.
it's very
I like it.
Who has the thickest skin?
Yeah, pretty much, right? And those are the people
My skin is
those are the
paper
people you
thin.
want on your team, the people who are affected by less, right?
Yeah, that's fair.
But when you're in a friendship with a female, it's much it's just the opposite. Like, right? You don't want to
Dakota
Men are
delving
more-
into this world. Yeah, tell us, Dakota. How is it?
Tell us about our world.
but oh dear.
Oh dear.
Where was I at? Where was I at?
With females,
Friendships
it's
with
different.
females.
With,
But yeah, so
friendship with females.
since guys are more goal oriented and thing oriented in general, and women are more people oriented, right? And so in a friendship with a woman, you want someone who's a little more caring, right? And I'm not just gonna be bashing and making fun of her all the time like I would with my guy friends. It's healthy for us and our guy friends. It's like it's a competition.
It's
It's a bond.
Yeah, it's a bond.
But it's completely opposite for
Imagine us
what you want.
bonding over roasts.
Oh, absolutely,
great.
Sometimes
absolutely. But
we roast.
You bond over roast, and we bond over
Hey, you guys
roast
want to come over
beef.
for a roast? A roast beef? Sounds good.
But I'm not gonna invite my guy friends over, and I'll invite them over for a cookout. But I'm not gonna invite them over to
Talk about your feelings.
consult them on the my feelings and whatnot, because men are not compassionate. It's way more fun to talk about women to that. Like,
Hey, speak
like
for yourself,
men,
Dakota.
You heard it here first,
But
men.
all us men
Cool
in here-
bags for
but in
friends
general,
and
you're
not
so
compassionate.
I mean, yeah, but it's.
Yeah.
I was giving an extreme example.
Yeah.
It's definitely not
understand.
always like that, but you want a more like male relationships are more like work relationships. They're more like it's there for the fun times. It's there for the to get you through the hard days in a completely different light than with your feminine friends, and that's that's more for the, if that makes sense.
Well, that's an interesting thing. If you say that you're so you're kind of, were you insinuating that when you have emotional needs, you go to your feminine relationships? Because that is not safe.
Yeah, no, not
unless it's
absolutely
your
not.
wife.
That's like
Yeah.
which is tough. So like you got to find where you keep it toned down. But obviously, if I'm, it's hard to get, because like there's with a romantic relationship, you should be fully open as a man. You should be fully open, fully vulnerable to that person. But for a platonic friendship,
Between a girl and a guy?
yeah.
Not
If I'm to treat a platonic relationship like I treat most of my platonic relationships with men, it's not going to work out too much, and I'm not going to be friends with those.
They're gonna be
Right.
bashed.
Yeah, absolutely. And so there's a somewhere in the middle there.
But you would have, as a guy, generally, guys will have one or two, hopefully, close male friends that they can actually confide in, because men need that too.
The feminine guys.
Yeah, well,
No, disagree. I know
So-
you're getting to.
No,
Yeah,
there
I
is
agree.
that. But for women, yeah, which I'm a woman, so that's what I'm asking for is like expectations and
Yeah.
that. I'm just battling with what are expectations that are realistic, that you can go to your friends and say, hey, like, as a friend, this is what I think friendship is in the level that we're at, and this didn't meet that expectation, and talk about it, and then they can share if they want to, if they think that I was unrealistic or not. It's just wondering when it's even okay to have those conversations, and when you are putting too much on a friend to maybe feel things in you that aren't.
Here's
what
a
they're
short
trying to
answer.
say.
If a friend comes up to me and says that he's not my friend anymore, honestly, like it is exhausting to be that in a not. It's exhausting
To have people expect things from you.
in a way, yeah. Like if you're not my wife, you're not. I'm not directly responsible for you. Like I'm here trying to support my own friends. I'm here trying to support myself. Like this is a tough world we're trying to survive, right? And it's
Yeah,
like,
which means we
but that-
need to
and
band
it-
together
Yeah.
and have close
But
friendships.
for men,
that-
it's less. It's definitely it's not. It sounds very harsh.
Yeah.
What I just said, but it's
a bit.
but it is important for.
But if that's how you,
What you
if
what
that's
think,
how you
Tony?
feel, Dakota,
held
for
your
you,
mic
that's
up.
Say, may I
that's okay.
speak?
yeah, absolutely.
I would say yes and no.
Of course you would.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
Well,
say
let me
yes and
give
no.
me a minute,
Yes.
guys. Now, I
No,
don't
you're
expound.
good. That's-
Okay, so what I would say is, yes, there is a time if somebody lets you down or something, definitely approach them. But along with what Dakota said, I think Dakota, I think you would be fine. Like if you did something or offended me, and I approached you about it in a humble way or something, I think you would be accepting of that. But if it's somebody that is constantly, if they do that to everybody all the time, everybody's offending them, and they're just a victim, I think that's where Dakota's saying that you're not going to be my friend anymore.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, that wouldn't be the context Jen would be talking about.
And I'm kind of getting to that because it can
No,
be
not from the guys.
no
offense.
do what?
Keep going.
As I say, it can be kind of hard to know, and I think that's what you're saying is that it's hard to know if you're being unreasonable with your expectations and your feelings. And I think that's where your other friends come in place. Like you have a lot of friends, and so you have friends that you can go talk to and get wisdom from and ask them about something. So like if somebody offends you and you're not sure if you're just overreacting or if they should actually be approached, go talk to.
It doesn't work super well.
What doesn't
Not
work?
in the girl world.
Not in the girl world.
No.
If you
To-
talk to another girl about an offense from another girl, it's just not
Don't
good.
talk to a girl. Go talk to a woman, an older woman with
Well,
experience.
that's all my friends are women.
No, but I'm saying a neutral party,
Yeah, maybe.
that you can expect wisdom from, an older woman. Don't just go talk to anybody and spill a tea. It's just like find somebody that you respect and expect wisdom from, and say, hey, this is the situation. Am I being unreasonable, or should they be approached? Because the Bible talks about iron sharpening iron, so we do need to be approached at times. But at the same time, also, like for myself, if I get offended, I know childhood wounds stay with you for your life, and they affect the way you react to things. And so, when I get offended from somebody, I always try to be introspective before I react, because I know that oftentimes, like the Bible says, the heart is deceitful above all things. So oftentimes I feel things from people that aren't true. And so they're not responsible for my feelings or my reactions. And so I want to, and sometimes I can determine whether or not I'm overreacting, but sometimes I need to talk to somebody and say, hey, this happened. This is what I'm feeling.
Neutral
Is this true
perspective.
or not?
Sure. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's why Jen's asking the question.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what you're doing. And so I would,
We're your sounding board.
yeah. So there's nothing wrong approaching somebody about something, but if it's a pattern that you see in your life that you're constantly having to approach people, then maybe at that point it's worth taking a look inside or seeing if there's something deeper than on the surface. If that
The
makes
thing
sense.
is, girls, we, Dakota mentioned this, like, oh, guys can just kind of have their feelings and, like, roast each other and they're fine and they don't have to talk anything through because they're fine. Like, I think as girls, you need to talk it through to be okay with it. And I think sometimes it's okay to accept that within yourself of like, hey, actually, like, yeah, I'm hurt. And, you know, I know that we'll be fine, but I really just want to talk to them about it. And I think as a girl, sometimes we just need to do that and just have that conversation. And even, you know, we could be fine without the conversation, but that's a part of the girl's process is talking through it, having that conversation and getting to accept that of like, hey, that's okay. Like this conversation doesn't mean that we're enemies and we're against each other, but I just really, you know, girls have emotions. Girls love to talk. So being okay with that, I think sometimes is part of the process of like, literally, I think we're good. I really need to talk about this.
Yeah. Yeah, Heather and Cassandra.
Like
do you guys
Sandra
have any
almost
thoughts?
said something
Yeah,
like
I
a
do
few
too.
times.
I've had a few thoughts. I've kind of lost them in
Kinda came
the,
and
in the
went.
process. Yeah, I think. I mean, man, I'm trying. Like, okay, so if I think you know, like one offense, it's like you know, just let it slide. You know, but then if it's something like a repetitive behavior, and it's something that you're like, you know what, this actually is hurting our relationship. It's probably hurting their relationships with other people as well. Like you as a friend, then you're like if I had, because I have blind spots. Like I've got so many blind spots. I'm like, golly, days I'm a terrible person sometimes, you know. But it's like, I want if I'm doing something that is damaging my relationships, I would hope that I have a friend who cares about me enough to say, this is repetitive behavior that's hurting your relationships. And I care about you enough to tell you, like, cut it out, you know? I don't know what Tony's thinking over that.
That's me.
Yeah.
That does make sense. And it's almost looking at it as overall, not just specific to me, which is a lot more selfless of saying like there's something here that's not just hurting me, it's hurting other people too, and they would probably want to know and be better off. And if it's something that literally I'm the only one that is dealing with it, only one that's feeling something from it, everyone else like, no, we love that, we never experienced that from this person. Everything's great. Then it could be some more introspection of like, why do I feel that from this person? No one else does.
Well, and sometimes, you know, like if it's only you, if it's only this person and that, like if it's only two people having that problem, then it could be, you know, maybe there was some damage done somewhere previously, you know. And I don't know, like I like to look at really, I think I'm going off on a bunny trail here.
Ride the horse, see where it goes.
That's right. Horses out of the barn.
Okay,
Let's go.
so I have I've had relationships in the past, and I looked at it like a like a
Girlfriend.
yeah, oh my platonic. I gotta say that for my dad. I'm kidding. Take that out.
Okay.
Just cut that. We're definitely keeping it. What?
So I like to look at it as like a whiteboard, you know? And I was just like, there were a lot of times where I had to pray and be like, God, I just got to clean this board, you know, make it white. And it was just every day. It was like, she just like scribbled all over the doggone whiteboard. And I was like, are you serious? You know, like every day I'm trying to have grace for this relationship. And it came to a point where like I had to say something because I was like, this is not, after observing, I was like, this isn't hurting just our relationship. It's hurting a bunch of other relationships. And I was also at a place where like I wasn't able to have peace because it was just like bringing out bad things in me, you know? And so I think like, I don't know, I think just like take some time before just jumping in, because also criticizing without caring can do, or approaching without caring and the position of your heart, like checking the position of your heart in things too. If you jump in without checking, you know, where you're at first, you can do more damage.
Yeah, that's good.
I think if you put what Sandra and Kara both said together, that just nails it. Like,
Just
yeah,
Merge.
yeah,
Merge 'em.
I
merge.
don't really remember
Well,
either, but I'll listen to
Man,
that.
feels like a
So-
while ago.
Sandra talked about patterns. Like if it's just a one-time thing, just let it go. People make mistakes, and it's good to have grace for people. And most times people are not out to hurt you. It's not in their heart to say, "Hey, I want to hurt Jen today," or "I want to hurt Derek." That's not their intention typically. I don't know. Maybe I'm just speaking for guys. I don't know. So yeah, if it's a one-time thing, it's, yeah.
You've not met some ruthless women out there.
No. Oh, yeah.
If it's a one-time thing, have grace. If you start to see a pattern, that's either you need to approach it or cut the relationship off. And I think that goes back to what Kara said. Choose your battles. Is this relationship worth the approachment that needs to happen?
Yeah,
so.
that makes sense. Yeah.
Heather, the only girl that hasn't shared yet. You got any thoughts?
Yeah, no, I feel like the least qualified to share on that topic probably. Like I would say I genuinely have like an extremely hard time asking for like anything. It is truly a hard thing for me to deal with, which probably isn't good or great. But
Probably get that checked out.
yeah, maybe look into that a little bit.
Yeah.
So no, I would say like my expectations are just like extremely low, if I'm being honest. Not necessarily from friendships. I would say I kind of go more along the lines of like I know what to expect, and so I just kind of stay in that lane. And then because genuinely, like there's only like 1 or 2 times I can think where like I was maybe hurt by an expectation I would have had, and honestly, both those times that person or like someone came to me and was like, "Hey, I should have been there, or I should have done that." So like I can't say that. Yeah, I can't necessarily speak to it just because, I think I would have more of that wall of just like my expectations are pretty low when it comes to that. So yeah, that's probably not super helpful, I guess. But
No, it like when I think of you, like I think of you're one of my most low maintenance friends, and that's not in a negative way. It's like I never feel like you put unrealistic expectations on me, and vice versa, and it works and it's fine. Do you feel with that like that it's very freeing, or do you feel like you miss deeper connection?
most of the times it's very freeing, but I think there's two sides to every coin, right? So like a lot of times with being low maintenance and not being like offended easily or anything like that is you get to not be hurt so easily, right? You can walk through life a little bit easier that way. But then the flip side of that then is I'm not a very sensitive person. So like seeing when people are hurting is not something I'm great at, or recognizing that. And I know that about myself, or comforting sometimes. Yeah. So like there's flip sides I think to every coin, because I have some very sensitive friends, like very sensitive friends, and I care about them and I love them. But I've had conversation with them of like, hey, I cannot walk on, like I can't do this anymore. Like you have to either figure out how to like buck up and be all right, or like something has to break. Like I can't. I genuinely. Because I truly can't. Like I don't know how to sometimes. I think there is truth to like the skill of like discernment and being able to do that, and even like with relationships, being able to discern what to expect of people, I think is important. Because in my opinion, like if I'm struggling with a friendship or something, I just won't hang out with that person. Like if it's not beneficial to you,
Felicia.
not in like not in a bad way, but like if a friendship isn't uplifting, like what's the point of that friendship, right? Yeah. Like, and that's not trying to be crappy, but that's more of a logical approach, I guess. And I also haven't run into the instances very often, so
yeah. I said this one time to somebody, and this was literally not a bad thing at all, but I said, if I need someone to hold me while I'm crying, I go to so-and-so. If I need someone to pull me up by the bootstraps and say, let's get going, I go to Heather. You know?
Yeah.
It's like, it is different
cool.
things that like, I wouldn't like necessarily expect from certain friends that they're going to be this, because it's maybe not their gifting but they have something else that's like very, very beneficial, and what I need sometimes whenever like I don't need somebody to pity me anymore. I need someone to smack me on the butt and say, let's go. Belt. Yeah. So in that regard, I do see some of those benefits of like having the correct expectations. I think it's like, it's when you get into some of the friendships that you've done like a ton of life with, and they know everything about you, and you've been vulnerable with them to your core, that when those people are not there for you, that hurts. And there's something about the life you've lived with them and what they know about you that they can just hurt you deeper. And so it's more in those friendships that there's fewer of those. Like I feel, someone said if you have 4 to 5 close friends in your lifetime, you've been blessed, like really, really close. And so it's more of those friendships, especially when you're single. You don't have the spouse to be that person that you're like every day. You're like, we're going to make this relationship deeper and stronger and communicate more. It's like, sometimes I think I put too much expectations on those close friends, because that's all I have. I don't go home at night then and be like, okay, now you're my person. Let's talk through everything. And it's like the friends are my connection.
Yeah.
They are my circle.
Right.
They also might
And
not
so-
know though. So there's a like, because like I would struggle if I would, because okay, so it is hard for me to ask for things. So if I do, and someone would be like, "Oh, I can't do that," like they don't necessarily know maybe like just how hard it is for me to do that. So like that's something where I should actually, I think in that instance, be like, "Hey, that was actually really difficult. I was kind of surprised. Like, why would you not be able to pull through in that moment?" So
Which is hard to do because you're being vulnerable in that moment by telling
oh yeah, I
them
would
that
never
it
do
hurt.
that. Yeah,
Come on, Heather.
I mean you should. I won't.
This is advice for you.
Be vulnerable.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
not
You
going
said you
to.
should work on it.
It's scary
as I
because
say, not
you
as I do.
cannot control what their reaction is to your vulnerability.
Yeah,
That's
very
what's
true.
scary. Being vulnerable isn't as hard as not being sure what they're going to do with it.
Yeah.
And when you bare your soul and they don't receive it the way you thought, or they don't care about it and they brush it off or whatever, I'm just like, okay, I'm going as far into this turtle shell as I possibly can, and I'm never coming back out again, because it just like, at least for me, hits me at my core of like, I can't trust anybody. And yeah, I agree with what Tony said earlier, that things that have happened in your past, things you've been hurt by, friends that have let you down, family members that have let you down, like that all creates your view of, I think, what you think friendship should be. And so anyway, I'm just on the journey of figuring some of those things out, especially as friendships shift, which is what's hard, is like when friends start to get married and like their priorities change, and yours didn't really, because you still don't have anybody else. But then when they're like, how do you have realistic expectations on them when their lives change and yours don't? It's just kind of like then you just kind of live on an island and just move to a monastery and just become a monk.
Become a monk.
Well, I think, right, like in that moment too, like, you know, that is hard, like, because they're changing, but you're like, I'm not. So it kind of, you're like, well, that's kind of on them, you know? And so like that's painful and that hurts. And so to be able to realize, okay, a part of the reason that their actions hurt me so much is because I already am so sad that our relationship is changing. And it kind of can like shine a light on, why does this hurt so much? Well, because I'm already sad. And so like their actions are just amplified by already like the sadness of like, hey, like, I don't know where this friendship is
change
going
and the
once
shift,
they
yeah.
get married and they have their husband and they have their kids. Like, I really don't know where this is going. Like, that's hard and that's really sad. And so the actions just like amplify everything because you're just like hanging on for that like proof of we're still going to be good. We still got this, when you really don't know. And when their actions kind of show against that, you're like, well, see, they're like, I don't know. So I
Point. And maybe being honest with friends about that. They're like, dude, I'm struggling. Like, this is sad.
Yeah,
Like, I'm
seriously.
I'm grieving the loss of what
Right.
was, and
Right.
so I'm overstimulated by actions that maybe wouldn't have hurt me in the past. So that is a good point. And I think being honest is, as hard as it can be, is probably the best thing to do, so that they can know, like, I might not be able to change it. It might not change
Right.
the trajectory of where we're going,
Right.
but at least we are able to be honest and care about each other in the change. So that could be good.
I would agree with that. I would lean more towards the side of bringing it up and talking about it, as painful as it may be, because you're going to have resolve then one way or the other, at least. And if you feel that in order for our relationship to continue or to blossom, and if this instance is there, like, talk about it. And it sounds like that's what you're weighing, and bless you in that decision, Jen. But I'm like, the more I live life, the earlier you can have the conversation, the better. And it's going to help you even with pain. If you're going to have some pain, you're going to probably have pain either way,
Yeah.
going towards the one that's actually going to help you know each other. I think that
Yeah.
happened for us, like with our two friends I'm with in our book club. There was this kind of like underlying thing where we wanted different things, but we weren't able to like fully tell them. And then it all kind of came to a head. And then, it was no problem because we understood each other then.
Yeah.
And then all
And
of
you
a sudden it was like,
communicated.
oh, wow, this is actually great because we understand each other now.
Yeah.
So,
That's a good point. Choose your hard. That's what
Choose
John
your
Deloney always
hard.
says. He's like, it's going to be hard this way,
right.
but it's going to be hard not to do the thing, and it's also going to be hard to do the thing. So choose the
your
hard
hard.
thing that's going to get you where you want to be.
Right.
It's like, it's hard.
The
either
hard
way.
that has the better potential outcome. But
He's like,
that's-
losing weight is hard, but being obese is harder. He's like, it's hard too.
it's a lot, yeah.
So choose your hard. So carnivore diet.
Tony.
Anyway, well, we don't need to keep going like this. Like that
Do you feel
was
like
a
you
question
got
I
some...
had, and I really appreciate you guys' input for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely have some food for thought.
just a little bit more. I think something important to keep
Less
in
is
mind.
more, Tony. Less is more.
But
I'm just
kind of what, like Heather said, there's two sides to a coin, and the person, whatever the situation is, the other person's feeling things too, and that's always important to remember. And even specifically, like with a friend getting married, her life is changing too. And I remember my first relationship, the girl I was dating said that she feels like she's losing friendships because we started dating, and that was really hard for her. And so it goes both ways, and so changes, even good changes, bring hard things. So just keep that in mind.
Ditto. I was gonna say
Ditto, bro.
I feel like I have relationships that 5 years ago they were my BFFs, you know, and if we would have had things coming up, then I would have been like, hey, you know, this like you weren't there for me, but now their lives have changed.
Yeah.
And they I understand that they can't be there for me like they could have 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And I think it's totally okay because people come and go in life, you know?
Right. There is seasons of different friendships and different expectations.
And I'm not saying that just like all your friends are replaceable, but like I have relationships now.
Just get a new one. Just get a new tool.
Pick up a new one.
Yeah. But I have relationships now, you know, that I didn't have 5 years ago that that meet my needs.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
So I think
That's a good
sometimes
point. Being willing to be open. So I keep kicking Kara's foot.
Embrace the season.
Yeah, embrace the seasons. Because 100%.
That's good.
There's friends
That's
that
good.
I used to tell everything to that I haven't talked to in 5 years.
Yeah.
There is a point in time when friendships shift, and that's okay.
Yeah.
That's complicated. I almost said
Ooh,
something.
that did sound a little sketch, Jen.
Yeah.
A little Sketchville, USA.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So we're not allowed to say.
No, we
Don't
can't
say
say that on the
the-
podcast.
Don't say that. Don't
Ship
do
high
it.
in transit. Can't
No,
say
Jen.
it. I didn't say anything wrong.
I
Get
know.
one of those little bleeper things.
I know. We might need it for this. Raw and filtered.
Sugar honey iced tea. That
Oh.
that was
Sugar.
that was
honey
ice. That was Madagascar. It took me so many years to figure out what that meant.
They said that in Madagascar? Oh my god, that's terrible. That is kind of funny, but it's terrible. Don't.
Jen's still sounding it out.
Sugar, honey, ice.
Oh, it's an acronym.
Oh my god,
It's the same thing
Got
you
her.
just did.
I know, but I was thinking sugar. I was
I know.
thinking it was
It took a lot.
something. Anyway,
It took a lot.
moving on from
Great.
that.
Okay,
Okay, thank you guys very much for chatting about that.
Yeah.
Now my friends are gonna
A
run
great
and hide from me.
Yeah, that
My
was
friends are gonna
no.
be like, we don't want to see her.
Jen, be
I
vulnerable.
I'm like, hey guy, you're like, no, don't talk to me.
No, talk. I know it's coming.
Be like,
I know
no,
it's
no,
coming.
no.
Stop
Oh,
it.
it's me.
Stop it. Stop it.
I was just prepping
Hey,
you guys
could
for
just bury your
conversations we're gonna
heart
have later.
You could just like say it now, and we'll just play them in the recording.
Yeah.
That way they know. You
No.
avoid the face to face. Good.
Can't.
Good. Cool.
Okay, any other hot
my.
takes, guys?
Yes.
I think I've used all mine in the past. Pretty uncontroversial.
Dakota.
You know,
So-
Overalls.
So I,
We have
Dakota.
to go
Nope,
back.
we're already there.
no,
We're
we-
going
We're
there.
taking that
So-
horse out of the barn. We're gonna ride it and see where it takes us. Let's go.
wow, that analogy is really popular.
I've been waiting to use that the entire evening.
It flowed so quick.
Absolutely.
We're gonna pull that horse out of the barn. We're gonna ride it wherever it takes us.
he was
I
trying
wanted
to
to
get
make
those
sure I
words.
get it in there before
That
the
would've
moment.
taken me a year
before
to come
we
up
lose-
with.
I know. I've had it in the tip of my tongue the entire evening, just waiting for the moment. I don't know why this was it, but anyway.
He was waiting for. He came up with it when we were talking about the ponies. He just never got to use
It's
it. So
true. It's
Yeah.
true. Yeah.
Okay, what's yours, Dakota?
my hot take. So like I've been reading more recently.
Oh.
Okay.
And finished a couple books.
Wow.
Okay.
Hot
I
take.
Ladies,
do
are you
not.
listening?
So no, okay.
Got him.
you get all these hear everyone talking about how they're reading, you know, it's changed their life and stuff. Most books suck. Like, it is like honestly,
Language on this podcast.
It's one person. It's one person who finds something, you know, and it's a good idea, sure. Like it's good, like, but you
gotta
could
read the
probably
right book.
summarize it and tell me the contents of this entire book written by one person in about 10 minutes, and that
Yeah.
would be a less waste of time.
Yeah.
than
Book summaries
listening to
are
a book.
really great.
Like it's a good point, but
Right.
like
Right.
Well, you
reading
choose
the
to read
entire
it or
book,
not.
right?
That seems
Well,
like a user
okay.
error.
About half of the books are good, half of them are bad. Like I read a couple of them just recently, the last couple months, and they were both pretty good. But
What was a good one?
I just finished. Actually, last night I just finished. It was a Jordan Peterson book.
I was
Oh,
gonna,
wow.
I was gonna guess.
Yeah,
it's probably
really?
That's a
12
good one.
Rules for Life.
12 Rules for Life. Yeah,
Okay.
that's the one.
Seems
I
very
like that
practical.
book. I like that book.
I think
But-
most books could be so much shorter too. Am I
Honestly,
wrong
yeah.
on that?
Yeah.
No,
To
you're
some
right.
degree.
To
but
some
I
degree.
Depending
think
what it
there's
is.
context to it too.
I agree. I agree.
Well,
but a lot of
choose
it's
wisely
like,
in what you read. You know.
They're like
I feel
people.
like that could help.
Not like even if you know somebody that's great, they have their bad spots. Like
like saying like books are the same. Like
yeah,
they got their
'cause,
bright
like,
spots.
Lord of
Yeah.
the Rings, I think, is one of
Whoa,
the best
hot take.
series. Yeah, and that could be a hot take too. But
Is Lord of the Rings okay for a Christian?
I've never watched
yeah,
it.
Oh, you
Anyway,
never?
I'm
watched
talking
it?
about
It's pretty good.
talking
It
about
is
Well, I
good.
books.
walked in and there were people growing out of the ground. And I was like,
like this is
There
not
was a half
godly.
horse, half
This ain't
man.
Context,
godly.
you have to know the
Terrible.
backstory.
That's
of that.
true. That's
But
true.
I'm talking about the books specifically. Like they're great books, but there's like several chapters where Frodo and Samwise
get
are
more
just
specific.
trudging through the wilderness, and it's just pages of them talking about them walking through the wilderness and being tired and stuff. And I'm like,
some of us like
I get
hiking.
the idea.
Some of us like
No,
the
this is
long
That's for the
journey.
outdoorsy people. That's for the hippies,
it was
Tony.
so
I don't know who
boring,
Frodo is.
But
It sounds cool.
Skip that part. You know, there's something at like turning pages.
I know, but then you didn't read the whole book. It's the thing. It's like,
I don't know, man. It
yeah,
depends.
that would bother me.
Here's something I've been thinking
Well, Derek
about.
reads a lot because I was in his room the other day. He was not there. Okay.
Why were you in my
Just
room?
pass over that.
All right.
Anyway, and he has literally, you have so many books
I have
in
quite
there.
a few books in there.
didn't
Most
know
of
you were such
them,
an avid reader.
75% of them I've read. So there's that.
So you probably have a different opinion on this.
Well, I think for me, I do enjoy reading. I think one thing that I've been challenged with, I think it's so much more important to actually start doing a thing and then reading about it instead of just reading about it before you do the thing. I've been challenged with
Feels
that.
a little backwards.
Well,
I
okay.
think that's.
So
I,
it
I,
can't- you
I, I,
can't
get what
explain
you're
that.
saying, Derek.
Here's
That's
the
good.
angle.
That's good.
Here's the angle. This is Alex Harmozy. I got this from him. So, okay, a book is like knowledge, tactics, ideas. It's like hanging an ornament. If I'm not actually working on something or actually practicing, I've got nothing to hang the ornament on. I can hear the best concept in the world on sales, on building a company. If I don't actually have something to hang that on,
to implement
or
it.
yeah, exactly, like to implement it.
Yeah.
That's where I'm not
Have a platform
talking
to use what
diving
you're
into
learning.
something with like zero, but instead of reading like 1,000 books on it, maybe read one or two and then start. And then then the things you read, you actually have something to hang it on to practice it. So that's kind of the approach that I've taken. Like I may have the greatest book on this certain topic or the thing, and it's probably the greatest book in that thing. But if I'm not actually doing something where I can implement it spiritually in my life, my job, whatever, I should actually not read that book because it would not benefit me like if I'm actually in that scenario.
I would agree. The best books I've read have been, and the reason they were the best books for me
Right.
is because they were timely.
Right.
Yeah, applied to whatever
With
I
what
was
you're doing
working
in
on
your
right
life
then.
right
Yeah,
then.
yeah, yeah.
So if someone says, "Hey, you got to read this book," you're like, "Okay, thanks," but not until I'm doing that.
Yeah, like
Or
if someone gave me
you
a book on real estate and said, read this, it's so good.
Right.
I'd be like,
Or early morning routines.
or that, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But for Heather, she'd be
oh.
like eating that up because it's like I can implement
she
that
can
here,
imply that.
and I couldn't do any of that, and so
you
like
could
it wouldn't
start.
work for me, but it would work for Heather.
Right.
But now if someone gives me a book on how to find a man,
I'm working
I'd
on
be
that.
like, okay, I tried that, didn't work, did that?
Well, that theory's crap.
I'm kidding. That was a dumb example. I don't like
No,
that.
well, probably a true one though.
But yeah, it was pretty embarrassing whenever I was writing something on an application today actually, and I was gonna say recently. It was actually today, and it said, "What books have you been reading recently that have helped you in your faith?" And I was like, "Oh crap! The only book I've read is by Matthew McConaughey,
Red light, green light.
Green Lights."
Hey, that's
yeah.
a good one.
I know I
That's
kind of
good.
like
Yeah,
that
Green
book,
Lights
but
is a
I was
good one.
like, I don't
Could be-
read
yeah,
much,
could be
and I was
spiritual.
like, this is not looking very
Matthew
spiritual for me. I
McConaughey.
put
Like
that
the
and the Bible.
Bible?
I
Yeah.
did.
I was gonna
like,
say.
that's it.
That's
Anyway,
it.
but I like that book. Okay, so you just got to find books that you like.
There you go.
I think it comes back to, like with what Heather said, being timely, but it's behind that is being captivating. Like for me, all of the books that I remember are
Yeah,
captivating.
it's gotta be interesting.
Yeah, and so it's
Well, but that's so dependent on you as a person, though, right, Tony?
If it's timely, it's
it
interesting.
is,
Probably.
but also timely. Like if you're wanting to get into, if you're not interested in real estate,
Right.
a real estate book is going to be so boring. But
Right.
like what you said, if you start it and then hey, I want to learn about this. Once you get a book and read it, it captivates you because that's where you're at in that moment.
Yeah.
So
But you could have two books about real estate, right? Like then you read both of them, and one of them literally is a better writer, and it is
yeah,
more
Right, and
captivating.
it's more
absolutely,
captivating. Right,
absolutely. It has a
exactly.
lot to do with the writer, and
Yeah.
that's why we have classics that are timeless that people still read today.
True.
Because they're written well and
Right.
they drive
And
home an
wherever
idea
you're at.
that's relatable.
It's true. It's true.
I want to write a book.
Do it, Jen.
Would you read it, Dakota? You wouldn't. You'd be like, boring. Very wordy with not a lot of points.
A lot of fluff. Oh my!
He's like, no, I don't want to hear about your road trip.
Oh,
Dakota's
that's
not
so
looking
funny.
for a book about how to find men.
Yeah. Well, let's hope not.
Oh my, that's good, guys. Great. Any more hot
Anyway,
takes?
yeah.
I love it. These are fantastic.
I don't want to have that on
Any
there.
other
good.
less hot takes?
Anyone some like
Yeah.
warm?
Any-
Turn on the AC.
I feel
Maybe
like
some
we have to
lukewarm
talk. We have to talk about the overalls at some point.
Oh,
like it
I
has
know.
to come up.
All right.
Okay.
Dakota, tell us.
Speaking
tell
of
us,
women,
speaking of women festing, what do you think about overalls? What do you think about
Okay.
women in overalls?
So this was when did this first
Thanksgiving.
happen? Was
Our
this-
That was
Friendsgiving.
It was like
Thanksgiving
Thanksgiving.
dinner.
Yes.
Yes.
So I said,
Tell us what happened.
I
Yes.
brought up a hot take, and
Okay.
it was about my my distaste for like rugged farm overalls in
That
like
was
a
not
formal
clarified at
setting.
the
yeah.
No,
I
it
know.
just it wasn't clear.
Okay.
It was
It
a
was
blanket
just
statement.
overalls.
It was
What I said.
overalls.
Yeah, I said-
Women wearing overalls.
Yeah, just say it, women in overalls. I
It
think
was.
was
I
verbatim.
think the hot take. We were talking about hot takes, and I said women should not wear overalls, and that's just I left it at that.
As Cassandra proceeded to
little
sit.
known to me, I did not know, but Cassandra was wearing overalls. But
At that very
you see,
moment.
At that very moment.
It was great.
Cassandra,
awesome.
I like what I was talking about. Was I feel like I need to justify myself, my
Tell
point
us,
of view.
Dakota.
Like, if you show up to church looking like you could go and muck out stalls right after this, like to me
Be
that's
ready
what all
always.
overalls are. They're
Got it.
workwear, right?
Right.
It's got
The
the big
denim
pockets,
overalls.
it's big.
Yeah.
Yeah, specifically
Yeah.
denim.
Which
right?
is
Yeah,
very
yeah.
convenient
Not
that has
canvas denim
shifted
either of
since
those, but
Yeah.
I'll
like
agree with. I don't really
his
like overalls.
specifics though. His specifics shifted really
But
quick when he
some-
found
some
out Cassandra
overalls
had
have
denim.
denim.
All of a
Changes
sudden it was
tune really
it was,
fast.
oh, I mean
Well, 'cause-
denim.
oh,
I mean,
I mean,
only
denim.
mucking
Yours are
stalls
great.
and at
Yours are
church.
lovely.
And now Cassandra wears them every single
Yeah.
night.
every single
I
Every
don't think
Bible
it was-
study.
And one day
Cassandra.
we're all showing up in overalls.
That's right. Yeah,
I don't
right.
think it was a hot
Always.
take.
I'll
We were
bring
just
mine, too.
talking about what we find unattractive.
Yeah,
in the
That's
opposite
actually
Yeah.
so.
Yeah.
We're
It's
just
what we
talking
use
about
like a
that.
red flag.
Sandra's like,
Dakota was just
I don't know.
casually saying overalls are
in a
terrible.
formal setting. I like a dress. I don't know. This was
Yeah.
nice,
Yeah.
so.
Right.
That's-
right.
I remember this
That's kinda what it is.
scenario very specifically. He said,
Scenario.
"Red flag is overalls."
I guess
Big red flag overall.
Wow, it took a while to get to the truth of what was actually
Wow.
said.
Yeah, exactly.
That is true. We were talking about red and green
We
flags.
were talking about red,
Cassandra
he's like red
remembers it
flag
clear.
overall.
Red flag overalls.
I will
And so
never live that
Cassandra-
down.
No,
yet,
you will not,
no.
Dakota.
Poor Cassandra, an absolute
Oh,
green
my.
flag, is sitting over there like, am I a red flag to you? Okay,
Yes.
I get it. Oh, that was pretty funny though. Always, so moral of the story: check the room before you comment on
Yeah.
what you
Yeah,
do or
yeah,
don't
I
like
have
about
some-
Have some
clothes.
social
Flag,
awareness next
Yeah.
time,
Social
Dakota.
awareness.
The
okay.
backpedaling.
He's
not
the
big
young
on me.
buck among us. He's still
Yeah.
learning. He's still learning. Sorry,
So it's not
Dakota.
To be
all
fair, I think he was
overalls.
facing away from Cassandra at the
That's
time.
very true.
No, he was looking right at me.
He specifically looked at me when he said it. Yeah.
To be fair, you were cold. You had a blanket. He can't.
Yeah.
This is true.
But
She
it
was
wasn't
there all
like
night.
like we were there.
She
Like
was wearing
could've
it.
paid attention.
Yeah, she was there long enough.
We also weren't at church, so
He really brought that at church thing in after the fact. But
Yeah.
I'm okay with
well,
it.
because he didn't give me any time to explain when it happened.
And
You were
you were not
laughing
wearing
way
the
too
denim
hard.
like work overalls. They were
Right, they're linen.
they were linen.
They
They
were
were
really
much more
really
dressy.
cute.
They
I
were
had
nice.
both.
They were like
They were
dressy.
nice.
You know, they had like
They were
those-
actually the green
yeah.
flag
Oh,
ones.
wow.
They were actually the green flag
Wow,
ones.
Dakota
Yeah.
has
Yeah.
They were
she
good.
said
For
they're
the record,
nice.
Dakota, I didn't
Yeah.
take any offense.
I know.
You guys want to talk about that after?
Yeah, you
Yeah,
guys,
sure.
yeah. We'll say that after. So. Okay.
So that I guess we can put a poll out there: overalls or not for the whim. And
For the
I
win.
was trying to shorten that, but it doesn't
Yeah.
work for the ladies.
For the win.
If she's gardening, she can wear it. Like that's
Yeah.
what, that's what I'm saying.
Working.
Gardening.
He
Oh,
wants
so you're
them in the
saying the
garden or
overalls
the
are
barn?
fine just as long as she doesn't show up to
Yeah,
church
yeah.
with them.
As a practical
The garden
use, they're fine.
or the
but
barn?
for
Right.
fashion-
Is where he wants
Practical, they're
women.
not.
Same thing with Crocs.
He probably wants women to wear
Yeah.
to make
Disagree,
sandwiches
but that's
for him
okay. Crocs are the
What'd you
the way
say?
to go.
too. He probably wants women to be in the kitchen making sandwiches for him too,
Well,
right alongside the garden and the barn in their overalls. Hit Dakota up if anybody is interested
Yeah,
in marriage.
you know what
Oh no,
Dakota's
I'm
into.
fine. I don't know what I'm doing. What?
Just don't own overalls.
funny. That's funny.
I'm manifesting the
Oh,
length
We
of my
all
legs.
own overalls, right? Is that the case?
oh,
I think so.
is it? Wow.
Thanks.
For the record, I feel like we're beating poor Dakota over here
I
a little bit.
know.
He's a
can take
great
it.
guy.
He's a great guy. He really is.
He's
Ladies.
the youngest
Thank you.
among us. So
Honest
be-
mistake.
Youngest among
He
us.
voiced
Yeah.
earlier that he
Youngest.
loves getting roasted. So
He
this
does.
works
yeah,
out.
We're just trying to help
I think
build
he
him
was
up.
talking about
Yeah.
the best relationships are the ones that roast. So
Yeah.
We love
Taking
you.
it to
Well,
heart.
it's yeah, that's exactly what I said actually.
And ladies, remember he
Regretting
said
words.
he'd be emotionally open
He would emotionally available
with his woman.
Yes.
Yeah.
say that.
He
We'll
said
put that in his
Full-
bio.
He said, yeah, with your wife, you should be fully, completely open. So hit him up.
That's good.
We'll put
He's
his bio
not
out there.
willing to share his feelings. That's the man.
And he cooks.
Yeah, that's true.
And he works.
Right?
We like that.
Got his own business.
He's ambitious.
Yeah, he is. He's great.
And he
I think-
snowboards.
And he's very
And
mature.
he's
Very
snowboards.
mature.
I think we're gonna feature
on
together.
this?
Can we move on, please?
Don't
Dakota
flatter
Specs
him.
are the first one featured.
I love it, man. Cool. Thanks for sharing that, Dakota. Appreciate it. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. You're welcome, Derek.
Hey, everyone. Thank you so much for being here for this third and final installment of the episodes with our small group. We hope you enjoyed listening to them as much as we did recording and discussing them. We hope it has created conversations and thoughts that have brought value to you in your life, and we hope you've had some laughs along the way as well. Thank you so much for being here, and we will see you on the next episode.